Welcome to the Raj Kotecha Show, #1 podcast in Dubai. And coming up in today's episode, you've got everything that we've been doing in the last week. So you can see it on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube, or head down to the YouTube descriptions for chapter links. Podcast crew, head over to the description and you can get time codes. And joining me, as always, on the show is Vic.
Hello.
And if you're expecting Alex, you're not going to get him, at least not now, because he's won the International Part-Timer Overachiever Award. He is horizontal on his bed in Abu Dhabi. Him and Vic have been going back-to-back for Part-Timer of the Year. Alex has won because he's had a knee operation, but I know that there's a weird kind of like niche following of Alex on this podcast. Yeah. So we couldn't leave you hanging. We give him a call and we hear about his recovery. In addition to that as well, you're going to hear about us being out and about in Dubai, including some cool places that we ate this week.
Eating all the food up and down Dubai, and the importance of coffee and cake for you.
Yeah, sorry, Sushi San, but you're going to get it on this episode. In addition to that, we also talk about the incredible amount of messages we've received from Maya, who passed away last week. So grateful for those. My travel plans, London and Bali, is a little tip, so make sure you stick around for those. News from the week, we talk about Elon buying a good chunk, taking a solid slice of the pizza that is Twitter, potential recession coming up, and the most expensive house sold in Dubai. So that's really cool. In addition to that, content recommendations include
a video on how to do a dopamine detox, an Audible book on how to make good offers, DJ Drama's new mixtape, and a little bit about Jay-Z's new record with Pusha T.
Yeah, such a great record. Made my whole week.
Yeah.
And then we got some shout outs at the end. So listen, if you're enjoying the podcast so far, make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube crew, likes, comments, all super appreciated. And hit that notification bell so you can get episodes like this nice and quick. Spotify crew, give us a 5-star rating and 5-star rating and review on Apple. Alex will not be editing this episode. Vic, run the music. All right, Vic, welcome back.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned in the intro, it's just the two of us today and we've got a lot to get through. So first up, we have...
Out and about in Dubai.
We've been moving and shaking a lot this week, to be fair. We've been moving around a lot. I'm scared to look at the SMS trail on my phone for all the outbound transactions, because we have basically, between the two of us, funded the whole F&B economy of Dubai.
Yeah, and all up and down the city as well.
Yeah, it's been a mad one. So I think today's Out and About in Dubai is going to be a lot about kind of like a lot of the food we've eaten. And you actually had a chance to head over to my good friend's place, Nick and Scott. You went over to Folly.
Yeah, so my brother and his wife and daughter came back to town. I was in Mauritius last week, and so I missed the first kind of 7 days of their trip here, but managed to catch them for the last 3 or 4. So that was amazing. So we really kind of crash dieted like with them, you know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time with them. So Sunday we went for sundowners at Folly.
Well, you didn't crash diet, you just crashed every food place.
Just crashed every, not even the complete opposite actually. So we went to Folly over in Suk Madinat.
Yeah.
I love that spot. I think there's a certain magic to the way they've configured the unit, like the 3 different floors or 4 floors, I think it is, and the outside spots. But also the fact that where it's located in Suk Madinat, now Suk Madinat is busy, it's heaving, there's loads of units, there's a lot going on inside. But Folly has managed to figure out a place where you don't feel like you're in the huzz and buzz of Suk Madinat when you're sitting on their roof.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful spot. It's a perfect location for like sundowners, if you like that kind of thing. They have a happy hour. And there was a chap there called George. He was the manager for the unit for that night. And he looked after us. He gave us, a little free round of drinks, and he really looked after us. So I had a great night that night.
Nice, good for him. So yeah, shout out to Nick. He texted me back the next day. Our friend Scott, his partner, is now based out of Scotland. But Nick is, Nick missed you guys unfortunately. But he did say what up on DM, and it's a special place. You're right, because when you walk into Folly, it's a beautiful restaurant. You then go up to the next floor, and it's a beautiful outdoor area. Then you go up to the 3rd floor, and it's even more beautiful. And you went to check out the sunset. Yeah,
and they've actually got a little area on that 3rd floor. And it's like, when you go into like an old castle and it's like one of those towers and you can go in and take pictures of rundown castles. It's kind of like a little square just in that little space. And you can see the Burj Al Arab behind you, the sunset. And
you must have a picture, right? You took?
I've got a picture.
Okay, let's throw one up on the screen right now. So shout out to Folly, and then afterwards you grab some tea downstairs at Taverna, the Greek place.
The Greek place. Now I've been to Taverna maybe 4 or 5 times.
Good recommendation for the city?
I've never had a bad meal there.
Nice.
Never had it, but their chicken souvlaki is out of this world.
We have to add that. I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's not on the kind of, it's on the kind of upper to mid end when it comes to price.
Is it a bit pricey?
Yeah, but it's outside, good wine selection. It's just a great experience. I've never had a bad experience there, not once.
The only thing about Souk Madinat is just that weird bit of anxiety when you first walk in, because it's one of those places where you don't go often enough where you can memorize exactly how to get where you need to get to, but every single part of it looks the same. But you're right, there's a few. Even my friend Kazar as well, he's got a unit out there. I don't know the name of it, but he's got this really cool unit where he's asked us to come and look at. So yeah, shout out to that. I love it. I love it when especially when people have had a business for a long period of time. And Nick and Scott, they've been doing their thing for quite a long time. So big up to them. And then we also went to get something to eat at Rubaru, which is actually run. I was very happy to see this. Is run by a Kenyan Indian dude.
Yeah,
so shout out to Harsh. Now this Rubaru is an Indian concept, again, upper middle, pretty delicious food, and it's just behind Clarence Tower, just off the boulevard in downtown.
Yeah.
So that was a nice, cool family meal. Shout out to Sheena and Sundip that came out, and we all just kicked it. My sister was back from Bali. She had an incredible time in Bali. I'm going to talk about my plans for that as well. And before we move on from all that travel stuff, and before we get into these other 100 places we've eaten, how was Mauritius?
Mauritius was amazing.
Yeah.
So I went to Mauritius 9 years ago with Shayla, and for those of you listening, my wife, and we literally fell in love with that place. I think there's a magical kind of feeling when you're on an island, because the people have a really good attitude to life. It's hard to be sad regardless of the economic state of the island and the people, because there is some poverty, and there's a lot of kind of struggles economically, and I feel for them certainly, but they just have a good attitude to life, because it's an island. You're surrounded by palm trees. It's a tropical island. It's beautiful. The weather is amazing. Yeah, it rains and everything, and I'll talk about that in a second, but just the people are amazing. Not only that, the food is amazing. And not only that, they're deep rooted into their culture. It's 50% Indian and Hindu, and they're really deep rooted into their culture and their traditions and their religions and whatever it may be. So their attitude to life is very positive. So I love being around people like that. So this time we went, me, Shayla, my son Ine, and we stayed in a resort, which was different to last time. Big resort, 3 swimming pools on the beach, kids club, the whole vibe, and we just had a great time. We did a couple of tours. We did there's a massive temple there. We went to see that. We did a big speedboat tour, which was amazing. We went out to one side of the island where you don't normally see dolphins, which is the east coast we went to. And all of a sudden we just stopped, and there's maybe 8 or 9 dolphins just in the water, just doing their thing. Yeah. And then they notice there's only 3 boats, and it's really calm. And then they notice us, and they start doing little tricks under the water and stuff. It's nice. I've got it all on video.
Yeah. Throw it up if you got a clip.
And if I can get the clip up, I'll put it up. But yeah, look, it was amazing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, the first 4 days was beautiful sun, the most perfect weather. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, my final 4 days, complete washout. Rained non-stop, monsoon rain.
Wow.
So we were stuck kind of basically indoors. But it was cool. We made a bunch of friends. We just sat down. Ine, my son who's 8, made some friends with the kids club, other kids in the kids club, and with all the entertainers. So big shout out to them. And just a great time, nice and refreshed and relaxed.
Nice to get that 4-day dose of rain coming back to Dubai now, because if you're in Dubai right now, you're listening to the pod, which I know most of our listeners are in Dubai, starting to get a little bit warm. I stepped out the other day to see you, and I was even in the shade.
Yeah.
It's starting to warm up a little bit, which is good beach weather, man. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad you guys had a good time, and from hanging out with Ine last couple of days as well, it seems like he's having major withdrawal symptoms.
He's I want to be back in Mauritius, because he's not back at school yet. So he's I want to be back in Mauritius.
Oh yeah, he's got that gap right between coming back. Nice, yeah, it's good. So that was good. So that was wicked. And then after Rubaru, we went to see our friend Glenn and Peter over at Roca, which was dope. They had some amazing drinks over there. So that's a good place to check out if you come to the city as well. I'm looking forward to just taking out all these clips and just sending them to people. When they say I'm coming to Dubai, where should I go? I'll be literally just go where we go on a weekly basis, and you'll have the best time ever.
And it was my first time to Roca, and I thought it was great. The service.
That was your first time in Roca?
Yeah, I've never been to Roca. Since being in the UAE, I've actually not been out. Despite what we talk about in ALGO, I've not been out in Dubai a lot. I've seen a lot of places, but there are some specifics that I haven't seen. Roca is one of them, and you've mentioned Roca to me 1,000 times.
Yeah,
and I've still not been.
Yeah,
but it just so happened that we were able to go, and I'm pleased, and I'm glad that we were. And I thought the hospitality was great. The drinks were amazing. I mean, we only had 2 drinks there, but like the hospitality and the drinks were fantastic. And Glenn was a great guy. I met him
from Leicester.
From
he's the
Leicester.
Manager out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and my brother Jay was there, and they connected on some like chef and bar and event stuff, like so unit stuff, because they've got like industry friends in common back home in London.
Yeah,
so,
where it's cool. And Jay said he used to do the food at Untitled Bar. That's what this guy Glenn said. That's the best food he's had in London.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. He went there just before Jay took over, but that just shows the standard of that place. But that's cool. I tell you, like when I went to Roca for my birthday, I did my 40th there. It was restricted to 8 people, and they kind of messed up my birthday. Like they kind of, I mean, if I say it on the podcast and I mention the problems with like the champagnes and different stuff like that, I'm going to sound like such a moany mofo. So I'm not going to do that, right? But like, so there's that. And then once we went for a business lunch and they kind of messed up. But I'm going to call Glenn and be like, Glenn, third time's got to be a charm. We'll go over there for a business lunch, and we'll see if they get it right. But like, it's great food. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's just that, they just kind of like made a couple of mistakes. And you know me, and we'll talk about this as today goes on. I've been in this industry in like nightlife for a long time. You've actually literally been in F&B.
Yes.
But my instinct is extremely well tuned, and I know, as a result of just spending so many years going to restaurants, going to nice bars, clubs, having a lot of time entertaining people as well for biz dev or for clients that I've entertained, I know that there's certain points, like weak points, fractures or semi-healed fractures in the machine that is a restaurant. And I'm like, it could go wrong here. And it's at those points I try to support the fracture, right? I try to put plaster around it and be like, I've got a feeling this is going to happen.
You're preempting.
So I'm letting you know, like, please don't get this wrong. And I don't want to say what it was at Roca, and I don't want to say, we'll talk about it anyway, but like, it's just the only thing is I'm like, please don't get this wrong, because also I am Indian at the end of the day. I don't like spending money.
Yeah.
But I do like going to nice places. I'm not a guy who like drives crazy cars and but I do like to have a nice pair of trainers. I do like to have a nice cap and a hoodie, and I do like to like eat in nice restaurants. And yeah, man. So anyway, we're gonna give our man a early heads up. We'll go over there, and then we'll give them the biggest shout out if they get it right.
So talking of nice places, we also did sunset drinks the next night on Tuesday at Wayne by So Maya in the Address Marina.
Yeah, that's actually a hidden gem.
Wow.
You really liked it?
I thought, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know the place existed. And I walked in and I was blown away. Yeah. And the thing is Dubai's a weird place, right? So Wayne is on the, I don't know what floor of the Address Marina, but it's fairly high.
Not like terribly high.
Fourth floor, fifth floor, something like that, right? But you feel high enough. Yeah. And the craziest thing about Dubai is that when you're in one of those kind of units, the unit itself is big. There's a massive pool, a big screen. It's beautiful. Like, it's got loads of like green kind of stuff around it. The bar's away in the corner, but beautifully presented.
Yeah, it's
huge.
Seats
are spacious. Like, they're not too close to each other. You don't feel like you're cramped. Not that it was busy, but you could tell when it's busy, you don't feel cramped. But the craziest thing is you're surrounded by buildings in the marina.
Yeah.
So when you look out, you're surrounded by
exactly. Hate the marina.
You're surrounded by buildings, but I didn't feel like they were encroaching on my space. Yeah. So what they've done, how they've done it is amazing. I really enjoyed that place, and we were even thinking about going back. Me and Shayla, my wife, like for one of the pool days or something. Yeah.
They've got a bunch of cool offers on. So let's tell you some stuff about Wayne. So I was going to go over there and do a My Friends, Your Friends there, but they were like a bit slow in coming back to me on that one. So we didn't push it through. And as it was part of that whole draft of like venues that I could have pushed through if I really wanted to, but I didn't. But it's on the rooftop of the Address Marina. The Address is obviously owned by Emaar. They typically do like an incredible job when it comes to their F&B. They've got this concept called the restaurant, which is very simple, classic hotel restaurant, all day dining concept. But Wayne is actually third party. Yeah. So it's run by a bunch of Indians. And it's kind of like, that's the element that I feel like could just still be like, if you look at like, they've got this massive screen, this massive digital screen, but some of the content they show on there is like, doesn't really propel me to come back. But what I will say about it is their happy hour is really good. Yeah. When they make you drinks, these are like proper cocktails. You get 2 for 1. So I felt like it was really good. There's tons of space. It's not the place you think of when it comes to sundowners. There's not necessarily a direct like sunset or anything like that, but it is a cool place. Like at the moment, based on the season it is right now, and of course it is a month where people are being a little bit more conservative in terms of their food and drinks consumption, but they've got an awesome offer on some, a good place that if you know you've got a big night ahead, I'd rather go there than go to somewhere like blah blah or head over to JBR and get caught up in that traffic, because it's still on the Sheikh Zayed Road side of Marina, which means you can split out nice and easy, or if you've got your car with you, it's easy to just call a chauffeur and get out of that whole neighborhood, which is the first thing I think about doing when I get to Marina.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get out as soon as I get in.
You need to plan your exit routes.
Yeah, exactly. One day I'm going to have like the Batman plane come with like a hook, do you know what I mean? And just grab me out of the Marina and bring me back to the normality Business Bay. So that was really cool. And then afterwards, after a couple of drinks, we just did like our own little kind of like mini iftar, just a family iftar at Zarub. And Zarub smashed it. So if you're coming to Dubai, Zarub is like, if you're in a country where you got Nando's, it's kind of like Nando's, but much cleaner, much broader menu. They do like pan-Arabic food, and they really smashed it that night. It was delicious. It's not expensive as well.
No, not at all. Really reasonable price. And I've only eaten there once before. And I know a lot of people in Dubai will be like, how can you have only eaten at Zarub once? Right? You know what I mean?
Wait, also, God, you're an absolute virgin.
I'm telling you, I'm like a beginner. Like I'm a complete amateur in Dubai when it comes to this kind of stuff.
What?
Ironically, I'm out a lot, but I'm not out a lot. Like it's kind of weird, right? But particularly not on the social side, right?
Yeah.
But Zarub, I mean, so my sister-in-law was looking for something Lebanese before she went, and we were considering different options, and we we're thinking, okay, iftar, respectfully, we'll kind of, be busy, and there's only iftar menus, but she kind of wanted something a bit more a la carte. So then Zarub came up, and we went down there, and I don't have a bad thing to say about the meal. Like, it was amazing. The service was great again. It was reasonably priced. The food was amazing. We managed to finish every bit of food on the table.
Yeah, we ordered so much food.
Yeah.
You know, I just realized as you were saying that, you could basically have a 40-year-old's night out just on that combo. Because think about it. You go to Wayne at 5 o'clock. You smash some sundowners. Maybe you have like something like how we did. We had some nachos and some little bits to bite on, some fruit and whatnot. Shout out to the guys at Wayne. I think they might have made a mistake or just given it to us. I've got no idea, but they gave us a wicked fruit bowl. And then after the liquor hits in, you literally go and have like a shawarma and a wrap, 5 minutes away, fresh at Zarub, and then just jump in your taxi or whatever and head on home.
For anyone from London, we were comparing it to like going out to the club and then going to like Edgware Road.
It's very similar.
Similar kind of vibe, similar kind of food, and not that we were like all liquored up or anything. We just only had a couple of drinks, but that kind of same kind of process, right?
Yeah,
it's cool, man. It was a good night.
Yeah, super good. So that's it. So listen, long bit on food there, but if you're listening to the podcast from outside Dubai or you're just hungry, then these are some of the places that you can go check out. Oh, except for
speaking of recommendations versus non-recommendations.
God, so this annoyed me so much, man. So the last place we're going to talk about when it comes to food is a place where honestly I've genuinely been excited to go to this place for a long time. Reason being is that this same place is one of my favorite restaurants in London. It's located at the top of Heron Tower in the financial district in London, and it is called Sushi Samba, and it is the place for me when I've been there in London and I've felt that I couldn't eat sushi afterwards. I essentially, after eating at Sushi Samba in London, was unable to eat sushi period, like casual sushi anywhere else in the UK. So here's what happens. We book it, and I know that Sushi Samba and all these places have after like opening parties, they don't invite my rugged ass to any of these places. Like I don't get invited to these launch parties. They don't, because they know I'm not there to like tap dance. But so obviously we pay, right?
Yeah.
So we went for lunch with a good friend of ours, and we dropped 1,000. Okay, so it's about in the UK about £200 for lunch, and there's only so much food you're going to get for £200. So you're relying a lot on service, and arguably the food in Sushi Samba is incredible.
Yeah.
But there's just, when the market goes down, people go, oh, it's the market, it's this, certain industries struggle. But certain industries, they have to take responsibility and they just get it wrong. So like, for example, this is very common in Dubai. Like you can be, and this has happened twice this year alone, you can be using a plate, eating on that plate. You might be you might move your fork to like a serving bowl in the middle of the table to bring something back, and the plate will be removed in the meantime.
Yeah.
It's almost like Hungry Hippos, like where they try and grab it, like, and get it out.
Yeah.
Do you know, like when you see like a snake grab like a toad or something, and it's just like gone. It's like that. And I'm just like, and I had food that I was lifting over the plate, and I looked at the server and I was like, yo, I'm still physically using this plate to eat. And that happened somewhere else as well. I can't remember. And then I was like, yo, all right, okay, da-da-da. And then I remember the next thing I was like, yo, and I make a big deal of this, and I look like a Dumbo if you've never seen it before. Vic's seen it a couple of times. If I break my usual norm and get a dessert because I know that the coffee is going to be good, I say, hey, yo, do me a favor. Please bring me the dessert with the coffee at the same time. That's the only, and I literally turn it into a moment. It's almost like, I don't watch Seinfeld, but I imagine that that's how they'd emphasize the scene. I'd be like, I only have one request. Just please bring me these two things at the same time. And there's even a buffer in there, which is, it doesn't have to be at the same time. They can be a minute apart. It doesn't matter. Just bring one and then somebody else bring the other thing. But bring them around the time where they're both peaking. Do you know what I mean? So then I went to the bathroom and then the coffee came.
Well, you said it about 5 times, and the server.
Yeah, and you guys were, you and our guest, Greg, were looking at each other, or our friend Greg, were looking at each other being like, this guy's really going on a bit about like how this matters to him. And I was so polite. By the way, it makes me sound so privileged, but I was just like, I only really want this one thing. I know this is going to be a really, really expensive lunch, but if it's possible, I do the same with local places. And I'm like, if I'm going to get like
a cookie and
no,
and
chicken
coffee.
shish taouk. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chicken shish taouk. If you're going to bring me that, please bring me the potatoes with it. And it's common with Arabic food to bring out the potatoes first. I'm like, I just want them at the same time. Doesn't matter. 4 times out of 5, they'll get it wrong. In certain cafes, I'm like, if I'm going to have this coffee, I know that this cookie goes with this coffee, because I'm not the first person who believes in pairing, but it has to be right. You don't want your coffee to get to a certain temperature. And then they brought the coffee out when I was in the bathroom, so you said.
So you went to the bathroom, and obviously I've seen this a couple of times before, so I know what to expect. And I knew there's a 50% chance it would go wrong. So in my mind, I was like, all right, let's see what happens. You went to the bathroom. Another server came with 3 coffees. And I was like, those are for us, those are for us, those are for us, those are for us. And then it comes to us. I said, no, please bring it out with the dessert. But that whole time I was thinking, do I let him just put it on the table and see how you react when you get back to the table? And then I was like, nah, let me not do that. So he sent it back. And then the desserts came. And then maybe 5 minutes later, after maybe 2 or 3 prompts, the coffee came. And I was like, this is going to send him in a spiral, because when you went to the bathroom and the coffee came and I sent it back, I go to Greg, I said, just watch. If that was sitting on our table,
he'd have raged.
He'd have like spiraled off, and it would just ruin his whole evening. And if they get it right, then we're good. But if they get it wrong, then you'll see it. And he was like, yeah, all right, cool. And then it happened.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought about this. I think about when Jay-Z and Beyonce go to eat, there's got to be a protocol. And I wonder if I could just like have a pre-printed card and be like, I know this is a great restaurant. I know the food is good. I'm not even going to meet the chef. It's fine. The magic that the chef does, I'm not meant to interface directly with that. I'm only going to interface with you. But here's what I would like. If we're eating, whilst we're eating, please don't remove anything from the table. Doesn't matter what it is.
I got an idea.
Unless you see us put it on the edge of the table, it looks like take it away. And if there's a specific thing that we're like, this matters to us, because I asked like 5 times in the nicest way. I think it's fair to say that ubiquitously, I am probably one of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet. I'm especially when it comes to working with servers and people in that F&B and nightlife world, because I'm from that world. But then I was just like, oh man. And it's not like I was like really mad. You know, if it was like a little casual 2-bit place where it's like, you know, you're spending a couple of $100, it'd be fine. But I'm knowing that we're about to drop a bag on this lunch. And I'm like, the least we can do is just try and get it right. So unfortunately, like Sushi Samba let me down. What do you think we should do? What'd you say?
Oh, you should have the things in the Radisho grills where you have the green and the red, right? When you want food and when you don't want food. So take my plate away.
Yeah, no, but it's just like,
I tell you what it comes down
annoying.
to. So as you quite rightly said, you know, I come from that world, right? So for those of you that don't know, you know, my family's, you know, been in the restaurant trade and the kind of F&B trade for some time. We've owned a couple of restaurants, and I also come from hospitality, doing events, DJing, and so on and so forth. So similar to you, I'm quite tuned in. But there's one thing that, and this is a generalist kind of, this is a general view on the service in Dubai. Every server that you encounter, for the most part, I guess, is polite, very friendly. As individuals and humans, they want to welcome you. They want to make you feel welcome and want to make you feel good and want to make your experience as good as it possibly can be, regardless of the kind of quote unquote status of the restaurant. Where I think it falls short, and I think this is a really important kind of lesson for people in that world, is training. It's just a simple case of training. So there's and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like maybe a little bit rude, but it's not meant to be. It's polite incompetence. Now, the incompetence is not the individual's fault; it's the manager's fault.
It's definitely the manager's fault,
right?
Yeah.
It's based on their operations team and their training. So then, like when I asked the guy, that like they brought out dessert. Before they brought out dessert, you were in the bathroom, and he brought out 3 dinner plates,
Right.
empty, with cutlery. So I just said to him, I said, listen, just because I'm curious, I said, do the desserts come out on their own individual plates? He goes, yes. I said, all right, great. I said, so why do you bring out these plates? He goes, because the manager has said that this is what needs to happen, and if he doesn't see those plates on the table, he'll ask me why. So I was like, but what's the use of the plates? Like, why do we have them? He goes, just because that's what I've been told to do. So they've got no power, of course, to make any like independent decisions. But more than that, they're not even given the reason why they're doing certain things. And in my opinion, that's not something that you do at dessert time. You don't pull out a full empty dinner plate, and then when you serve the desserts, they take the plate away.
So it's weird. So you could almost say that. What did you call it?
Polite incompetence.
Polite incompetence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like passive incompetence. It's like give the guy. Like if I say to him, "This matters to me in this meal," give the server the resources to pull it off. So like, I think you made this great point. I was like, "This is what I would like. Would you like a dessert? Yes, I would. I'd like to take this dessert, and I'd like a coffee with it as well. And the only thing that matters to me now, as we come to the end of the meal, is that they come at the same time. Could you please do that?" And as you said, when he probably put the order in, there probably wasn't a system where one could have them come out simultaneously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the problem. So you've got an order that goes into, wherever it goes into. The kitchen will get the dessert order. The barista will get the coffee order. And even if the server, to his credit, has written on the slip that they need to be served at the same time, if the kitchen and the barista don't have a communication tool or at least those instructions, then it's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
So that happens in the operations, right? That happens in the flow of the kind of service.
Yeah. Sushi Samba is a wicked restaurant, and it's like last mile delivery. Do you know what I mean? Like you can order the craziest thing, but if in the van approaching your door it gets chipped, you're going to be upset by it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you heard that ding, you probably just figured out as well that we had to cut for a second there just whilst we answered the door. So anyway, we'll wrap it up on that. But listen, I'll go back there. I'll give him a second shot. But I had high hopes for that day. And it's one of those ones. It's like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
But just
food was amazing.
Yeah, food was amazing.
Yeah, food was good. So we basically ate everything that there is in Dubai. And then it was also a great week for recording, even though our schedules were a bit mashed up. We got 2 really important interviews with 2 people that have played 3 people in total that have played a big role in our lives. We did a 2-person podcast with our friend Sujan Shah and Pali Bandwait. Sujan Shah is a guy that Vic and I have both worked with in different capacities. In fact, no, you and I have worked with them in the same capacities because when they worked on the parties, we obviously did all that together. Yep. So Suj had a dating company, and so that was incredible. We used the Gherkin building where he had a relationship to throw 1 birthday party for me and 2 New Year's parties for Love Soul and Flashback, I think. And then, so that's really cool. So we kind of like go into that little history a little bit. And then joining him on the show was his partner, Pali, who was one of the first clients of CCA that allowed us to roll out a whole bunch of content programs. So we go back, all of us go back like 10, 12 years, some great stories. Unfortunately, Vic was not on that podcast, but I really feel like, and I said this on the episode, both of them deserve their own episode, and even collectively we deserve to do, we should do another second part to that as well.
Yeah,
we didn't really touch much on the parties. We talked a lot about management, cultural change, things like that.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, Suj, I mean, I worked in the e-commerce business, as did you, in 2 different capacities. But I'm actually looking forward to that one because I wasn't present for it. I'd just flown in from Mauritius. I was spending time with my brother. But luckily, I got to see Surge for 5-10 minutes before we went to the airport, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because those 2 are very, very smart guys, independent of like kind of the businesses that they've built, grown, and run. I think just the 2 of them have different kind of ways of looking at the world, but they're both very, very smart. And I like talking to them about kind of business and just general stuff, and you'll get a lot of jewels out of that one without even reviewing any of the footage. I'm confident of that.
Yeah, and also speaking of which, we've been talking about for quite some weeks getting out the Tahir Majithia podcast. Well, either side of this podcast on audio or video platforms, you're also going to see the Tahir Majithia interview, which again, I mentioned in the intro of that video that he's actually a former client of ours, a longtime collaborator and a forever friend who's just done so incredibly well. He did the 4 P's of content course. He did the plan, produce, publish, and promote elements. We supported him as an agency for quite some time through COVID. And then recently he's taken his machine over and has continued to go from strength to strength, which is the ultimate marker of success of working with us. So he talks about selling millions of dollars worth of Dubai real estate on TikTok. He talks about what it feels like to start getting recognized and what it was that was the pivotal moment that made him go all in on his content. So definitely go and check that out. That will be linked. Well, we can link it up in the show notes, of course, but it's also going to be on the feed that you're listening to this on or watching this on. And then the next one was an upcoming interview with Chef Jay Majaria.
My brother.
It was good. That was that interview like set my soul on fire.
Yeah.
It was. I enjoyed it so much. I can't wait for it to come out.
So it goes long, but I think deservedly so. Even for me, obviously he's my brother. I've grown up with him. There's only 4 years difference. He's my older brother. And, me and him have a kind of similar personality difference to what you and I have. And we've grown up in a similar way to I've grown up with you. So for me, it was amazing because the 3 of us have great chemistry. We've always had great chemistry when we, family events, going out, social, all of that. But this one was taking that chemistry, like just kind of dulling it down a bit in terms of like the social side of things, and really kind of deep diving into his background, what he's done and where he's got to now, and specifically the kind of decisions and milestones along that way. So, he started off in art and design, then he moved into kind of furniture product design, became a buyer for like some of the bigger retailers in the UK. And then he just decided to go, I'm going to take a big leap and just do what is my passion, and that's be a chef. And then we just follow that journey through to today. I actually got insights into his thinking and his life that I didn't even know. And I've, followed, we're very close, me and him, and we've always been very close growing up. But there's parts of that journey that I had no idea about. And I think it's really fascinating to hear.
And he grinded so hard at the pivot in becoming a food guy and a chef. And, he did get the spoils of it. Like he did get the book deal. He did get the Netflix look. He did get his own multiple of his own units, from cooking schools to catering jobs to his own restaurants and consulting. So like, if you really want to hear about being on a particular path, making a conscious choice to step out of it and following your passion, and then seeing that work out, it's really good. And what's crazy is he's not the biggest chef in the UK. He's not doing breakfast television every day. He's kind of got the thing which I've really enjoyed about certain personalities, the way they work out, is that he's basically got the people on his phone book. He's got the connections. He's known in the circles, but he doesn't have that whole pressure of having the whole world look at him. And in the UK, unfortunately, as it is in the US, they build you up eventually just to dispose of you.
Yeah.
Like the concept of like a has-been is very, very common in the way that the UK media or the US media, unless you can fight and stay relevant over decades, and at that point they'll celebrate you. But then again, we saw with Will Smith, you can be hot for 35 years. You can start your music career with a Grammy and end it with an Oscar.
Jesus, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they'll jump on you like savages. So I love where Jay is right now, because you can even be bigger than Jay and still have that element with you. Like if we look at like Russell Peters, for example, he can still walk around places. He's not going to get mobbed or robbed, but when push comes to shove, when it comes to like joke slinging, he can make it happen. Same with Jay. Like he's not going to get robbed or mobbed, but chefs know who he is. Chefs respect him. Businesses do deals with him. So you're going to really enjoy that interview. It's really fantastic. Unfortunately, in the back 30 minutes, my camera cuts out. But if you're watching it on YouTube, it's a lot of the stuff that we talk about is great, and the audio version is going to be incredible as well.
If you're watching it on YouTube, you get the benefit of two handsome brothers talking.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a really great episode, and I can't wait for it to come out. Probably in the next couple of weeks, depending on if you do it or if I do it, whoever does it. But we'll get it out.
Or if Alex does it.
Or if Alex does it. Oh, speaking of Alex.
Talking of Alex, that was my segue. I'm just pulling it up now.
So Alex has been out. Alex had his knee operation this week. It was on Tuesday, and it seems like it was a success. So they got all up inside his knee and repaired it. Let's see. Is it you ringing him?
Yeah.
Let's see what he says. I rang him before and he just opened his eyes, part-timer.
What up?
What's up? How are you?
You're live on air. Please do not swear.
We'll give away your PIN number. Yeah, so Alex, how are you?
Raj, I can barely hear you.
Raj said, how are you, Alex?
Me, I'm all good. Leg's not in pain, so that's good. It's just annoying to have a 0-degree brace on 24/7, but all is good.
What is that? A what brace?
0 degrees. So basically my brace is set at 0 degrees, so I can't bend my leg at all.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You just like lying in bed?
Yeah, literally.
Jeez.
Literally lying in bed, and I'll just go downstairs to go eat. And that'll take me a good 7-8 minutes to walk down the stairs.
Oh, no.
Where are you now? In Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I'm in Abu Dhabi right now.
So talk us through Tuesday, what happened and what your symptoms were going in and what the doctor said.
Yeah, so I got in there Tuesday morning at 8:30 and my surgery was going to be at 9:30 a.m. Get there, shave my my hair and my knee and everything just to get me ready and everything. And then met with the doctor. Then they just bring you in, put a needle. They put a needle in my hand to put the anesthesia later, and then they just, it's kind of weird actually, because you're always I always see operation rooms in TV shows and stuff, and then it's the first time I actually get to see it for myself, so it's pretty interesting. And so yeah, then they just give you the anesthesia and the oxygen mask, pass out, wake up 2 hours later, and my knee's stuck in a brace. But yeah, it was good. I think I was a bit nervous before they gave me the anesthesia and stuff, just because first surgery and everything, but everything went well. And then when the doctor was done with the rest of his surgeries, he came to the room and he said that everything went well, and that so I have an osteochondral defect, which is when cartilage slips under your knee bone. And so that they grade it out of 4 levels. And from the MRI, originally, the doctor thought it was going to be a level 3, but it was only a level 1. So the best case scenario, which is really good.
Okay, that's good. So what's the road to recovery now?
When you're coming back to work, you're part-time.
Yeah, well, that's basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I have this 0-degree brace on for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will see him next Wednesday, the doctor, and he'll evaluate. And at home, I do. He gave me some exercises to do, but just really light, just raising my leg up and down 10 times, things like that.
Yeah.
And then once I get the brace off, I do 2 months of physio, of just starting to rebend my knee and things like that.
Where will you do the physio?
Yeah, I was going to. Where are you going to do the physio?
They have not told me yet. There are places in Dubai, though. We're going to discuss it on Wednesday with the doctor.
Cool.
Okay, nice, good. We'll get back to work ASAP and also get well if that's part of the road to recovery as well.
He said get back to work ASAP and also get well soon.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll edit this ALGO, don't worry.
No, I'm editing this one.
Oh, actually.
Yeah, we want to get it done today.
Fair enough.
Cool. All right, well, listen, buddy, good to speak to you. And
Yeah.
definitely rest up and make sure you get yourself better soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
All right, dude.
All right.
Cool. Sounds like he's on the road to recovery and he'll be back soon.
Yeah, man.
Horizontal Alex. Back online soon. What's up next?
So you had a significant number of messages for Maya, which is very sweet of a lot of people.
Yeah, so messages for Maya. It was a big week. So, I mean, it's so weird because I put the announcement on my stories, and what I did is obviously we talked about it on the last episode, and then I put the link to the episode, and that was like that link became the official announcement for her passing. And I, outside like a birthday, my DMs haven't gone that crazy. I mean, it was a bit of a blur because they came in, thick and fast, and I was trying to address every single one of them, but I'd probably say about 80 people DM'd, and a lot of them had actually like come here and met her and spent time with her. Like I mentioned on the podcast, some people program in coming to see Maya as part of their trip to Dubai. So yeah, the love was real, and I got an incredible amount of voice notes. In fact, if I had my phone, maybe I'll play them in the future, but incredible amount of voice notes from people sending their condolences. It's been a quiet week in the house for sure, like getting used to stuff, waking up in the morning, looking left, waiting to give her breakfast, and she's not around. So it's been a bit of a weird week, but I must say, being somebody who's not like dealt with this before, it is really nice to have so many people reach out. How have you found it? You're like back and about in the crib now. It's like, it seems strange to me. Like even Ine came home last night. He looked down and he goes, "Where's?" And I was like, "Where's Maya?" And he goes, "No." And I was like, "It's all right, dude." Like, you know what I mean? If I'm feeling it, if I'm walking in and looking onto the ground, waiting to be approached or seeing where she is, and even he said in the car like 2 days ago, "Is how's Maya?" I'm like, there is a period of time where you realize like how ingrained they are.
So yeah, I mean, for Ine, a big part of him coming to your apartment is to see Maya, not really to see you because he sees you so often. So yeah, I can see it in him, the challenges. I think for me, I have this like weird relationship with Maya, as you know, and I'm not an animal person or a pet person as such, but I kind of got used to her. She just kind of used to like be around me, and then I kind of ended up getting used to her. So kind of walking into the apartment and not seeing her is a little bit weird. But in saying that, there's a lot of times I walk into the apartment and she's like hiding in the corner for like 4 hours and I don't see her.
Yeah. More recently, I would say.
Yeah, more recently.
As she got sick, she would definitely spend more time like up against the window getting sun, or hidden in a little like corner somewhere. Yeah.
So there is a couple of times this week where I thought, oh, she's just in the corner, because you kind of just you don't kind of realize it and you just forget. But yeah, I guess it's kind of weird. Yeah. It's just like, I don't really know what to say. It's like, it's strange not having Maya in the house.
Yeah.
It is very strange.
But I guess I want to just take this opportunity to say like a big thank you to everybody who messaged. And a lot of people were like, let me know when I can call you. And I think these are people that are used to or have seen a pet die and understand what that's like. So I just want to say, big shout out to everybody who sent messages for her. I'm super grateful. Still to this day, and a lot of this is to do with being busy, but then a lot of it is to do with just getting through the task. I still actually need to post on my IG like a clip from the last episode which explains everything. And I know I should have done that by now, because our friend and our boy Arjun literally texted me before we recorded just now, and he's like, "Hey bro, I'm just checking in." And a lot of people have been, quote unquote, just checking in, just to see, obviously, with everything that's happened. And I was like, yeah, man, it's just a bit, sucks a bit with Maya with Maya passing. And he didn't know. He hadn't seen the story.
Oh.
And him and Maya were mad cool, because obviously they'd spend a lot of time together. He'd stay at my house, and, she's just like this, for a quirky guy like Arjun, like she's the perfect muse, you know what I mean? So he just found out that way. So I do need to get that up on Instagram very soon. But yeah, man, so again, long section for really one short thing, which I'm trying to say, which is thanks so much everyone for your messages. Really appreciate it. And day by day. So what's next?
So you got some travel plans that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so we've been talking about traveling for quite some time, and there's Gary V's VCon in Minneapolis. There is the Collision Conference in Toronto, Canada. There is a whole bunch of conversations that need to happen in London. My sister came back from Bali. I really feel like that would be a good place for me to go for a period of time. And there's many other trips at the moment that are being, thrown around left and right. But as of last week, I feel like what could actually happen very soon is a trip to London. I'm quite conscious of having elderly family members and stuff over there, so I want to go spend a bit of time with them. But in addition to that as well, there's there's just like certain gaps coming up in my schedule, which it'd be possible to do it and mature to do it without ruining what's going on with the business. So we're looking at probably the end of May until the first maybe 10 days of June. Individual cities that I'll be in, what I'll be doing, if I'm doing an event, if I'm doing a meetup, who I'll be able to meet, that is all, thoughts for me to have in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I'm hoping that the weather will be good, and I'm definitely hoping to catch up with as many people as possible. The best place to catch me will definitely be London if you want to hang out. More information about that to come. But I will be in other cities as well. But it could be just like passing through really quickly or seeing family, which means I'll be outside a lot less. So yeah, London and Bali. And if Bali happens, it could be the month of July. So my brother-in-law, who just came back from there with my sister, as I mentioned, said that it'd be worth getting involved in Bali. It's a great place to be in the summer. There's all that infrastructure for entrepreneurs and people that work digitally. We are moving to a remote working model.
Yeah.
And the ultimate test of that is being in 2 different countries.
Yes.
Or 3 different countries. So Bali crew, what I want to know is, if you listen to the podcast or if you're checking me out on social media right now, is going to Bali part of your 2022 plans? If so, where will you be? What will you be doing? Let me know. Drop me a DM, leave a message in the comments or wherever you're listening to this podcast, or just hit me up at Raj Kotecha, because that would be a really good thing to connect with people that are going over there.
Yeah.
I know that people like myself, entrepreneurs, people that work digitally, have a number of choices, but I'm quite bullish on Bali just based on the feedback I got from my brother-in-law and sister. So London and Bali, all before the end of July. All right, what's up next?
We got some news from the week.
Biggest news of the week for me this week would be, well, let's go through them in order, because I think that they're all interesting. First up would be Elon buying a 9.2% stake in Twitter.
Yes.
Now you've got to say, when you mention his companies, you've got to mention SpaceX, Tesla, The Boring Company, so many other companies that he's got. There's a company called The Boring Company.
Yeah, that's what I'm laughing.
Yeah, so you got The Boring Company, you got a number of different things he's involved in. Twitter is now one of them.
Yeah.
And he can go a few percent higher. He could actually own a little bit more before there's a change in the way that his ownership of the company, where there's different like obligations and whatnot, or things to register. But this is a good chunk of the company.
Why do you think he's done it?
Well, I've never said this before. I've always thought this. I don't even think I've said this to you before. So the founder of Twitter is Jack Dorsey. As of today, Jack Dorsey has about 1/4 of the ownership that Elon has. But if you look at Jack Dorsey's career, and he's been heavily criticized by people because of the politicization of the weaponization, I guess you could say, of the Twitter platform, especially when it comes to deplatforming people like former President Trump and people like that. But if you actually look at the choices that Jack's made, the industries he's gone into, his commitment to fintech, aligning himself more with Square than Twitter, separating himself from a lot of the controversy. When people say to him, but Twitter does this, Twitter's bad for this reason, he's like, yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, we're thinking about it, which frustrates commenters and frustrates pundits, because they're like, he's just being really blasé and he's trying to come off like some sort of like guru. But the crypto spike has happened in the last year and a half, right? Let's say 2 years. Stimulation, economic stimulation, quantitative easing has meant that people have had more liquidity. There's been more retail liquidity. A lot of people didn't necessarily need that money. A lot of people, the money was shared evenly amongst people in the US, which means that people that didn't need it got it. And more sophisticated people were actually gamed the system and got more money than they needed, especially business owners. That money then ends up in the stock markets. Some parts of the stock markets do well. A lot of that money ends up in crypto. Where did the crypto conversation galvanize en masse? Twitter. Now, we often forget about this. Twitter can have its data triangulated. So there's been all sorts of apps like Hootsuite, and there's a lot of, if you go online and you search for social listening apps, they go through hundreds of thousands of tweets every single hour, and they come up with conclusions. This is what the sentiment of human beings is. If you know the sentiment of human beings and what things people are positive about and what people think are negative about, you can draw conclusions and actually get ahead of certain people in that market. I think that's what Jack Dorsey did. Jack Dorsey owned and created Twitter. Twitter is where everybody goes to talk about finance and crypto. if you run algorithms on what people are saying, you get insights before anybody else. That made Jack commit less to the product development of Twitter and more towards fintech. And where are all the fintech conversations happening? Twitter. So if the future of fintech and the future of technology and the web is blockchain and crypto, and all those conversations happening either on Twitter in written form, where algorithms can read them and AI can read them, or on Twitter Spaces, which has become incredibly popular with the Web3 community, why wouldn't you align yourself with the biggest media property that's acting as the backbone of Web3? And who stands to benefit the most from that? Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That's why he's done it. And I think that if Amazon was to move into that space, I don't think that they'd do it from the point of view of a majority ownership or a significant ownership. A lot of these companies are struggling in terms of competitiveness and M&As and anti-competitiveness and monopoly, all sorts of fears around monopolies. I think he's bought just the right amount that he gets a seat at the table. He gets a little over 9 seats out of 100 seats at the banquet. That gives him a lot of listening posts. If you imagine it, like, here's how I try and explain it to people that are listening. If Twitter is a long dining table and there's 100 seats, he's got 9 of them. Those 9 are not next to each other. Those 9 are every 11 seats. Yeah. So he's got a lot of listening power. He's got a lot of authority inside that organization. Who knows now what he's got access to when it comes to social listening tools, when it comes to sentiment about his own company, Tesla, about SpaceX, about the Boring Company, about all these other things that he's doing, batteries, sustainability, crypto. He now owns the company where all that chatter is in one place. So I think that's why he's done it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the equivalent of an investment bank owning a part of MSNBC. Yeah. Or like a news network that focuses on business.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Elon obviously he's a genius, but I was going to say he's no dummy. That's clearly obvious. But, Elon is very smart when it comes to media, right? So his appearances on various platforms, I don't mean just like in video format, but whether that be like sending out a tweet or whatever it might be, he's very smart about it. And he knows that when he says something, there's a lot of ripple effects in the industries and the world and in culture. So the smart thing to do is own the media. I mean, we always talk about owning media, like, businesses should have their own media platform. That's kind of essentially what he's doing without having to start it himself. Even though he is his own kind of media, he needs the platform. And Twitter's the perfect platform because, and here's something I was thinking about. Twitter's had basically zero innovation since it started. I mean, for all intents and purposes, let's just say zero innovation. But I don't think it needs much innovation, if any, because there is no other platform that has a mass adoption and a low barrier to kind of consume the content like Twitter, because there's nowhere that you can write your thoughts out for everyone to read, even though it's in limited characters. But there's you can't do that on Instagram because it's image based or video based. You can't do that on YouTube because, again, it's video based. No one looks at Facebook. You can't do that on Snapchat. You can't do that on TikTok. You can't do that on Pinterest. You can't do that on any of the social media platforms. And Twitter's the only one that you can do that on. So the fact that they've not innovated has worked in their favor, I believe. A lot of people criticize the zero innovation of Twitter. So Elon has just gone, they've not changed. It's basically perfect as it is for what I need it to be. Why don't I just take a chunk? Because I want to get my thoughts out. I want to know what people are talking about. I need to know how to make my next moves because everyone's talking on Twitter because there's been no innovation and everyone can do it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. And I think in addition to it, it also is interesting because it gets to the stage whereby you've got industry pundits that complain about the lack of innovation and that just builds up more need for innovation, which means that when they do something like they allow you to change your profile picture to an image from your NFT, from your MetaMask, like you can take one of your NFTs and make it your avatar, or they launch something like Twitter Spaces, which was a second or third order effect away from the Clubhouse thing that happened over COVID. People love it because they're like, oh, it's something. But really what they're doing is they're not doing anything which is they're not doing anything which is on the fringe or super progressive or getting ahead of what other social networks have done. They're just lifting off what others, they're specifically doing second and third mover advantage moves, looking at things that are proven and tested, but they feel fresh and innovative on Twitter because, as you're right, historically, as a Ruby on Rails platform, they've been like, look, we're a micro-blogging site. We've gone from 140 characters to 280. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, said that Twitter is like a blogging platform. I agree that Twitter is a blogging platform if the blogging platform only posted headlines. Yeah. Which is the reason why there's so much outrage on there, is because you can go big on content and low on context unless you know how to like put a thread together, like a Sahil Bloom or someone like that. And yeah, I think that's probably the reason why it's done. And I think that there will be a post Twitter, there'll be a post Elon Twitter, but I don't know how quick that's going to be. Yeah, like with everything else with Twitter, it's going to happen slowly.
Yeah, slowly. And I think just kind of on the innovation point, the innovations that they made, the reason that they feel so fresh, although few and far between, and you know, frankly speaking, incremental, they are in line with culture. Yeah. And I think that's what's important, because everyone talks about the latest thing. Because what do you think of when something happens? You'll go to Twitter to get the news, or someone's posting on Twitter because they want to be the first to put it on or have their voice on it. So everything is super culturally relevant on Twitter. And changing an avatar to be able to put your kind of MetaMask on there, or your NFT on there, is probably the most culturally relevant thing to do at this point. Yeah. Right? As far as kind of that side of things is concerned. So that's why it feels like a big change, or so important, because everyone's on there already talking about it. Now let's show who you are, kind of thing, through your NFT. And that's interesting. And I think post Elon, I don't know what they will be. I have no idea. So I'm not even going to claim to kind of, or even begin to kind of make any predictions, but there will be innovations, I believe. I think Elon's been thinking about this for some time, and he's like, all right, well, you know, contrary to what I just said, like Twitter is what it is and it's kind of perfect for what it is, he's going to be going, yes, for now. But there needs to be a leap, and I'm going to make sure that whatever I'm thinking about that needs to go into that platform that benefits me and my businesses, I'm going to make those innovations happen. I don't know what they'll be. I can't even start to predict what they'll be.
Twitter, Tesla, Twizzler.
Well, I heard on the Flagrant podcast with Akash Singh and Andrew Schultz, I think it was, I can't remember which one of the guys, Alex or Mark, said it. He goes, he reckons that he wants to get Twitter on the Tesla screens, like in the computer in Tesla. I don't know anything.
What for?
I don't know, but that's what he said.
Hey, it's just a dumb thing.
You think so?
Yeah. For what reason? Just the fastest waterfall, the fastest pipe on the internet, spitting down your screen whilst you're trying to drive. You may as well like stream real-time sports and distract somebody and let them crash. True. It's one of those ones. But yeah, so I think that was a big story. And hey, listen, I didn't really have a hot take on that until you asked me for it. So by all means, if you're listening, pass it off as your own next time you go out to a bar, because that's one of the smartest things I've said. Next up,
the yield curve inversion,
which more often than not is an indicator of upcoming recession. So yeah, it's something I'm watching out for. I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about this potential recession that's coming up, because it's a very, very difficult time for a lot of people. Some people ride it as a downward, like real true entrepreneurs will ride it down and ride it up again when it comes to the way the market goes. But I just want to share with people that I feel like this is important. This is not a finance podcast, but roughly speaking, if you give your money to a government in an open market and they offer you things like bonds, they say, listen, if you give us this much money over 10 years, we'll give you, let's say, and we'll go with quick numbers here, but if you give us your money for 10 years, we'll give you 5% back. And if you give us your money for 2 years, we'll give you 3% back. And that's because when you give your money away for longer, you take more risk, which means the reward has to be higher, and the reward might be 5% for 10 years and only 3% if you give it away for 2 years. That has now gone the other way, where you're actually going to get a higher return on your money over the short term than you would do over the long term. And again, go and do your own research on this, but that is an indicator that a recession could be coming. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting, and I think it's probably worth just pointing back to it. What does that mean for like your average person on the street? You got to think about your job. You got to think about, when there's a recession, that means that there's almost like a sonic boom effect on the economy, people start losing jobs, companies start losing money, they start losing contracts, they start losing customers. There's a big shift. A recession is effectively, think about it like you're at a poker table, and it's time to shuffle the cards. And what happens on the other side of it is still poker. We've still got normal market economics and macroeconomic dynamics, but it's on a fresh set of cards.
Yeah.
If you imagine again on this shuffling cards analogy, when you shuffle cards, you don't shuffle 52 cards by 52 cards. There might still be 2 or 3 cards that are still next to each other in a normal shuffle. So there's still going to be a lot of stuff from the pre-recession that will be familiar, let's say the growth of the internet and things of that nature. But then there's also going to be new opportunities. So yeah, guys, just watch out. And anybody who's got their 2 cents on it, feel free to message it in. I'd love to actually have one of my smarter friends, economic friends, jump on the pod in the future. If that's something you want to hear, let me know. And then finally, from our news from the week.
The most expensive house sold in Dubai.
Yes, on the most reliable source of information, Love in Dubai. They posted that a house has been sold for 280 million AED. This house is 33,000 square feet. And also, if you don't know what AED is, dirhams, more commonly in the US, in US dollars, that would be $76.2 million. Have you seen it?
I saw some pictures of it, yeah.
What do you reckon?
I literally saw the picture, but yeah, it looks mad. Like, thing is, I mean, it's a flex, isn't it? Like, you know, having a house that's got a hair salon and a gym and a this and a that, like, it's just basically a flex.
Yeah. Young British dude that sold it, a young British real estate agent.
Yeah, I think he's in his like mid to late 20s, if I'm not mistaken. And he's like apparently quite new to real estate. I don't really know enough about him, but
no, he sold $750 million of real estate.
Oh, wow.
So this is, which I kind of rate the guy for this, because that means that effectively this is just a little over a third of his total real estate sales. All right, it's not as if all of his eggs are in one basket, or he's it's a fluke, or he's top heavy. He's done 3 times the amount. It's just that this was such a big transaction. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
It seems to me like he's a bit of a hot boy in the city when it comes to selling real estate. So good for him. I'm sure the payout on that, what would he get?
2.5%,
What were we told?
right?
I think the agency gets 2.5. No, the agency gets 5%, right?
And they get half.
And he gets 2.5.
Depending on the deal with the agency. But yeah, typically it's that.
So if he even got, let's say, if he got 2.5%, he's probably going to get about 6 million dirhams. So his commission will be about 1.2 million pounds. Lord.
Yep.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
That's okay.
Do you reckon it was somebody like one of the dudes that needs to fly around the world right now to get out of certain countries?
I think there's a high chance
Yeah.
that there is that. Look, I think, as I say, it's a flex, or it could just be what you just said. But whoever this real estate agent is, congratulations, man! It's a big deal. Like it's a good one.
Hire us to
Good for him.
DJ at your celebration party.
What's that?
I'm saying hire us to DJ at your celebration party. My man's definitely going to throw a party. So well done to him. All right, next up, we're going to wrap up today's episode with a bunch of quick fire content recommendations. And my first one is an incredible video that I've seen, which has only got under 600 plays today on YouTube. It is called How to Improve Your Life with Dopamine Detox, the science behind. That's what the actual name of the video is. Throwing it up on the screen right now. And the creator of it is a guy called Dimitris Kalogiru. So he's got his own little brand going on, which is dope. The brand is called Design Thyself. It's really a beautifully shot video where he kind of does a couple of things really well. One, he tells his story about going from Dubai to Finland or somewhere cold and doing that as part of a dopamine detox. But what's really exceptional about this is 2 things. One, he uses incredible original like B-roll drone footage. And the second thing that I love about it is that not only is it beautifully shot, but the impetus where he said, look, I need to do something about this. He said that he was under a bridge in the marina in Dubai, and he saw the reflection of the water on the bridge. And that's the same reflection that I see on the water on the bridge when I walk under the bridges, when I do my 5K walks every day down here in Business Bay. And I look at it, and a couple of times I've taken out my phone and videoed it because it's so beautiful. Like the way that the water, the sun bounces off the water and then takes this really hard concrete under the bridge and just kind of like textures it. It's a very beautiful thing to see, especially at certain points in the morning. And I was like, man, that's literally me. I literally do that when I do my walks. And I didn't realize there was something wrong in it, because the actual beauty is there facing you, and you're trying to look at it through the phone. And there's a relief in looking at it through the phone, and looking at it in real life feels like a dream. And when he framed it that way, I watched it all. And actually, another thing I would say that's incredible about it is he actually breaks down the science of how it actually works, and the fact that there's a chemical response, a dopamine response, that latches onto the feeling that you get when you're consuming too much social media, or you're doing too much socializing, you're getting too much social reinforcement, or consuming certain things that are not healthy for you on the internet. So yeah, I thought it was an incredible video. And actually, when you came here this morning, we had breakfast, and I said, listen, if we're going to talk about it on content recommendations, you may as well watch it. So what did you think?
So I agree. It was shot amazingly well. He is obviously, I mean, he's got a 9-to-5 job. He's studying for a psychology degree. Yeah. And he's also started his own kind of business, which is the kind of YouTube channel, his little side hustle. He's a very smart guy. He breaks it down to a point where if you don't know anything about what he's talking about, you can understand it. You'll probably need to watch it 2 or 3 times, but you'll get it, because he's explaining like what the effect of the effect of dopamine on him, how he realized it, what he did about it, and he explains the science behind it, but he's showing us what he did about it and how that helped him and what he's going to do in the future. So he's got this kind of beautiful trifecta there. And I think that was the smartest thing about the video. So anyone can relate to it, whichever way they want to look at it, or however way their brain is wired. Yeah. And as importantly as that, everyone is going through what he went through, pretty much, even if they don't realize it. And this video will make you realize it.
Yeah, it's a great video. So well done to him. I'm sure that as the months go on, he's going to be a really significant creator here in Dubai. Next up is another book, actually. $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. It was recommended by somebody I'm following online. I actually went and got the audio book. We are changing our business up at the moment, and we are going to be offering things that we've never offered before. So this book is called $100 Million Offers, and then the strapline underneath it is how to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. I got it on Audible. It is available in print as well. But I must say that I've been listening to it as during some of my time when I'm walking, when I'm showering, and when I'm just generally feeling creative and thinking about the new business. And it's a very, very tactical breakdown as to how to make offers and the science behind those offers and different types of offers and how they combine with each other to kind of have this, like, they're almost like transformers. They all like lock into each other. That's super recommended. Also, D-Day, Gangsta Grill's mixtape, which is Dreamville. So any J. Cole fans, he's got a lot of verses on there, and a lot of the guys in that crew have an incredible amount of talent. Dropped this week, available on Spotify. And speaking of Spotify, one of my other favorite takeaways from this week on the music front is Pusha T and Jay-Z, Neck and Wrist. You heard that for the first time as well before this. Today, you liked it?
Yeah.
Not heard Ho for a while in your case,
Not
right?
heard Ho for a while, but I mean, at a first listen, sounds great. Jay comes in hard, but beyond that, I can't give you much of a. I need to listen to it a few times to really break it down.
All the hustlers, I'm telling you, like I've never thought the pairing of Pusha and Hove was the best pairing. I didn't really like Dealers Anonymous, but I think this is probably the best combination that they've done. Still sticking on Spotify. And we were talking about this earlier on, Elon buying a 9.2 stake in Twitter. If you want a much broader view of that, I would strongly recommend CoinDesk's podcast. It's called The Breakdown. It's if you go to that channel and find it, you'll see it in the last week or so. And we'll link that up, at least on Spotify, we'll link that up in the show notes, and you can probably see it on the screen right now, what the artwork looks like. And finally, content recommendation on my side, and definitely on both of our sides, because it's an incredible one. We spoke about it earlier on, is Tahir Majithia. So Tahir Majithia on the Raj Kotecha show is out now. Go enjoy.
Yeah, so I've really not had any chance to consume any content this week, considering how busy it's been. But there is one thing that I noticed on Netflix, or saw on Netflix, and I mentioned it to you yesterday, is a new special by a comedian called Ronnie Chang, and it's called Speakeasy. He dropped a special in 2019 called Chinese Destroys America, or Chinese Comedian Destroys America. And by far and away, it's one of my favorite stand-up specials on Netflix.
Nice.
And he's also been a correspondent on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. He's been on Crazy Rich Asians and a couple of movies as well.
Yeah.
Very funny. I'll probably carve out some time to watch it this weekend.
Nice. And make sure you check out that Gangsta Grills mixtape because J. Cole goes crazy on it.
Yes, definitely.
Really, really good. Okay, cool. And then let's give a couple of shout outs as we wrap up today. The final part is always sad to do the shout outs because we know that the episode's coming to the end. I really enjoyed today's episode. But before we get out of here, firstly, shout out to a guy who showed up on episode 13 of the Raj Kotecha show with his partner Walt, our dear friend Steph. Happy birthday to you, Steph.
Happy birthday, man.
It was so great having you on the show. Great feedback on that episode. If you're listening to this episode and you are a sports fan or the business of sports, head on over to episode 13 and listen to Steph talk about some of the wonderful things he's done in the world of branding, experiential, and now in sports and celebrity. I also want to give a massive shout out to my girl, Rena, one of my oldest friends, original Love Soul member, 20 odd years ago when we used to do Soul on Sundays in Manchester. She got married to Mick. You know Rena from Leicester?
Sojani.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, Rena.
Yeah. So she's married to a long-time bae. So much love to both of them. Can't wait to see them. In fact, that's one of the folks I'm definitely going to have to go see when I go to the UK. And final shout out
is for the resort in Mauritius, actually, Tamasa Resort in Belle Ombre. They made us just feel so super welcome, but most importantly, to a couple of people, Nathan and Clara, and the whole of the kids club team, because they took Ine under their wing, and it made his holiday so special. So big shout out to Tamasa in Mauritius and the whole staff there, particularly Nathan and Clara.
You're going to send it to them?
Yes.
Dope. All right, well then, listen, Nathan and Clara, this is probably the first time you heard of the Raj Kotecha show, whether it's the first or you've listened to every single episode. Right now is a perfect time to give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast if you're using that platform. YouTube crew, if you've been watching the video, please do this right now. Look below this video, there should be a subscribe button. Hit that. Also hit the notification bell so you can get new episodes first. I'd appreciate any comments on this video, and if you like it, of course, hit the like button. That's incredibly good for the algorithm. Hope you enjoyed the show. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, as I mentioned, interview with Sujan Shah and Pali Banway, and of course, Chef Jay Majaria, VIK'S older brother and my cousin. That's everything for this week.
That is.
Thanks so much for showing us love by just consuming this and all your feedback over DM during the week. We'll speak to you in the next episode. Peace.